Good evening, Africa. We are here again on another show where we need to discuss the Clevenard Open Project, where we discuss Africans on behalf of Africans, and we raise an awareness in our communities. Today, I have my guests, and I'll be welcoming them to our platform. Please note that our topic today is the role of mother language in building a nation. So I welcome you guests to the platform.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. So let me talk to Madam Tokwe. Kindly introduce yourself to our audience. Please also let us know. Please note that we are on Facebook Live and we are also on YouTube Live. So people are watching us around the world. Please kindly introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. I would like to say I am an energetic and dynamic volunteer, and as DG advocates, a trainer, and more importantly, a learning and development expert. Thank you very much.
Please, did you tell us your name?
Semi Tokpe Olaguju is my name.
All right, you are welcome to Clevenard Open Project. Also, I have my second guest too. You are welcome to the show tonight. Please kindly introduce yourself.
My name is Maureen Awolono. I'm the lead consultant at Jinasa Limited. We are an education consulting firm. We majorly are into training. We do train the trainers for teachers. I'm very passionate about teaching. I'm very passionate about being an African. Thank you.
Oh, great. That's interesting. Of course, we are all Africans and we are proud to be an African. All right. Today's topic is the role of the mother language in building a nation. We also know that today is the International Mother's Language Day. Madam Tokwe, how do you feel about this?
Okay, that's great. And when I was just thinking about this topic, the first thing that came to my mind was, who does mother tongue help? But for the sake of this conversation and research, I had to do a lot of digging deep, asking questions, doing some research, reviewing videos. So I'm so happy that it's coming up, and I'm sure during the course of the conversation, you get to know my own basic perspective about mother tongue. I think for me, it's an out-of-the-box mother tongue conversation. It's beyond what your mother can speak or what your father can speak. It's more about what is the language of the land that you're in, and how can it help you as a person in inclusion, in diversity, and the like. So it's so good the topic is coming up, and it will also help us to shape the conversation of language in national building.
Interesting. That's quite interesting. Okay, Madam Maureen, do we really have mother language in Nigeria?
Of course we do. We do have a mother language.
Can you tell us some of it?
Of course, we do have a mother language. Your mother language is that language you are supposed to pick up within your environment. All right. For us Nigerians, we have a lot of languages, but the three major languages of Nigeria is Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba. Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba. Those are our major, the three major languages. Of course, we have other ones, the Ibibio, the Efik, the Bini, we have Ninzo, we have Fulani, we have different languages and then under these three main languages, there are dialects. All right, there are dialects. The Yoruba people will speak Ekiti, they will speak Mijebu, when somebody from Ilorin speaks, you know that this person is from Ilorin. Same thing with the Igbo people. When somebody from Umbise speaks, you know this person is from Umbise, from Umbitolu, from different places. So yes, we do have mother language here in Nigeria.
That's interesting. Of course, you've helped us to break it down so we understand now that, yes, mother language is quite interesting and important in Nigeria. So now, let's talk about this topic. Let me come to Madam Tokwe now. Today is the International Mother Language Day, and the topic says the role of mother language in building a nation. Is there any way our own mother language, just like Madam Morina said, we have the major three languages, which is the Yoruba, the Igbos, and the Hausas. So these three major languages, has it in any way built up our nation?
Okay. Like I said, having to look at mother tongue, or just like I said earlier, the language of your immediate community in a state or a nation state like Nigeria is very, very important in terms of your nationality or your sense of identity or belonging. Is very, very important that you understand your mother tongue. Imagine getting to a certain place and you speak your mother tongue and they get to relate with you. So in terms of identity, it has really helped us to say, okay, I am from this place, I am from that place. Now, taking it down to education, there's a way mother tongue helps to ease learning difficulties because mother tongue is from simple to complex or known to unknown. You are being taught in the language tone that you understand from your immediate environment or what you understand from your home. So when you are being taught with your mother language in school or in any educational setting, it helps to drive home the point. It helps to drive home the point. And like the co-guest said, we have different languages. So sometimes the issue of diversity comes to play in the educational sector. For example, if you have children of diverse languages or dialects in your class, as a teacher, are you being able to speak the language of everybody at the same time with the same audience? So I would say that it's more of having to use the common language. What is the common language in the states that you are in? So that it will be difficult in making progress in terms of using the language or in the indigenous language in terms of teaching. So like I said earlier, identity it has helped in identity, it has helped in education, it has also helped in preserving our culture. Language is a cultural thing. So the more you speak your language, the more you can conserve your culture. And like people always say, there are certain people when you get to a place, when you speak your dialect or your language in a certain way, they'll tell you, no, 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 you have not really gone home. You know, you might feel you're in Lagos, but when people that are indigenous hear you, they'll let you know that, no, you are not from the home. This is not real. So it means that over time, language helps conserve the culture. So if you've lost your language, it's more or less you have lost your culture. So to preserve our culture, even with the social norm now we are facing, probably when you have to correct a child in the mother tongue, it helps to drive home the point for the child to be humble, to know that first of all, you're a Nigerian, and let's say you're from Ijebu-Ode, for example. I think for how do I put it? Mindfulness. Let me just say mindfulness. I don't want to say correction. Mindfulness, even in the home. When you speak your mother tongue, it helps the mindfulness of parents, mindfulness for you to have a sense of inclusion in whatever you're doing. Thank you.
All right, that's interesting. Thank you so much, Madam Tokwe. Yes, let me come to Madam Maureen. Let's be sincere to ourselves now. Today is the International Mother Language Day. And we know that presently most homes does not speak their mother language. Instead, they speak English. So is our culture, like Madam Tokwe just said, that language is a culture. Of course, it's part of our culture. Is our mother language not eroding away from your own perspective?
Thank you so much for that question. I'll pick up from where Tope left off.
Yes.
Culture is your identity. Three things that identify you wherever you are your language, your food, and your dressing. Your language, your food, your dressing.
Yes.
Now, other things come under those. We have the music, the dance, custom, marriage custom, and all those things, naming customs and all that. They all form part of your culture. So language is an integral part of our culture. It is not only language that is being eroded, all right? Even our food is being eroded. The way we make our food, the way we dress, and all of those things, they are being eroded. But the thing about language is that it can be corrected so that it will not go into extinction. There are languages that, if not caught right now, would go into extinction because there are no people speaking those languages. I am Igbo, married to an Igbo man, and then for some reason, we decide to speak English, to speak with our children in English language. Whose culture is English language? All right? So those things are some of the things that we need to begin to correct now. Because if you look at the family setting, for example, sometimes you want to talk to your children in a language the visitor does not understand. You can't, because the children don't understand Igbo, they don't understand Yoruba, they don't understand Hausa, they don't understand Egede, whatever language it is that you speak, because you never spoke it to them. Children pick from what is in the environment. If that language is not within the environment where they are growing up, they would not pick it. English language will always be learned because once the child leaves home and begins to go to school, then the child is gradually introduced to English language, to French, to math, and all those things. So I think it's, for me, I think it's the responsibility of parents to make it a point of duty to speak their language to their children because it makes it easier to pass on the culture. It makes it a lot easier to pass on our culture to the children. I hope I've answered your question.
All right, that's interesting. It's quite interesting. So let's divert a little bit. I know that both of you are in the education sector. So now let's talk about how you started. I know you have gone far, you've done a lot of stuff. So let me come to Tokwe now. How did you start the whole thing? Because I know you do a lot of things. So just share with us things that you do and how you started.
How I started, please say again, started what in terms of language advocacy or
your career.
Okay.
How you find yourself to be in the education sector?
Okay. Thank you very much. For me, it was about what I was seeing, and I realized that it was a reflection of me. That is having to put people together to impact knowledge. So amazingly, when I was much younger and people would do daddy, mommy play and all that, for me, my play was school. My play was having to gather children in my community together. I was the principal of the school, and our breakfast was gari and pamoy mixed together. So over time, I've always seen myself as someone that wants to translate or transfer knowledge and all that. In fact, early in the years, I had the pack of this St. Louis sugar. I drew my school, and I drew an example of what I feel I want to experience as a student. So I feel learning should be, we can call it experiential learning, the concept of what I feel learning should be, teaching should be, or how education should be holistically is what drew me to the education or the learning and development space. So I started developing myself in that. Even for first degree, it was in education. My second degree in education, my degree, by the grace of God, running up soon, is also in education. So it's just about having to say, I want to do this. I want to be able to provide solution in educational space, and along the line to develop myself to be that top-notch or bespoke person in terms of the educational sector. So that's how I got myself in that field.
Interesting. That's quite cool. Okay, let's also hear from Madam Maureen. So how did you get to where you are now?
Wow, it's been a very long journey. I did not start in education, in the education sector. I actually was in banking. And after a while, but even while I was in banking, I always did tutorials for younger ones. I did what you call lesson for the younger ones. I always took them in different courses, essay writing, math, and all that. And one of those days, one of the boys that I was taking looked at me after he had, you know, gotten a grasp of what I was teaching him. He looked at me, looked at me, looked at me again and said, "You're supposed to be a teacher." And there I was, and there I was in the banking industry and all that. So when I left the industry, I thought to myself, what do I do with children? But I've always taught children, even in church. I've always been a Sunday school teacher and all that. And so I thought about it. What do I do with these children? I went into research and I found out that, look, only me cannot stand in front of millions of children. We need to train other people to be able to replicate your ideas, what you know in different classes around the world. So that's how I got into the area of education where I am today, which is consulting in education, training teachers. We do a lot of research. We had to go back to school. We did courses in education. We went to classes to teach. We offered our services free to schools. People began to recommend us from one place to another. We have a following of many teachers. Today we have conferences and seminars around Nigeria. We have the I Am a Teacher conference once every year. We have the Teachers Forum. We have Teachers Hangout, and we collaborate with a lot of organizations to bring information to teachers, just to change classroom experience for the students. That's what we do. Thank you.
All right, that's interesting. That's cool. Okay, let's talk about, I know in the education sectors, there are a lot of initiatives that comes up. So is there any initiative that is ongoing now, or any project that you are actually working on presently? Talk with.
Several, I'll just mention a few. One is the Teachers Fellowship we're working on. Another one is having to teach teachers, train the teachers in terms of AI pedagogy, in terms of the teaching has to be AI responsive. The world has gone digital, and with the advent of AI, teachers should not be left behind. The teacher is like the doctor of the nation in terms of the mind. So teachers that want to train should not be left behind. Another project we're working on, also related to mother tongue, diversity and inclusion, is the tour. Having to take people on tour to understand other people's culture. There is a way that having to understand people helps more to respect people And when we relate that to social and emotional intelligence, relating to social awareness, social integration, having to leave one's comfort zone to understand the value and culture of other people is something that is really, really at heart. Another one is the TEVET, that's the technical and vocational education, where we have relatively, not holistically, relatively lost that culture in Nigeria. Even today, while walking around, I realized that there were a lot of youth that has been lost to the nation. Permit me to use that. There's a lot of youth on the streets. And one of the projects we are working on in training acceleration project is to see how the boys on the street can be meaningfully engaged. Some are on drugs, serious drugs. In fact, there's a large involvement of women, girls, even in drugs, and it's about the fact that when there's really no vacuum, and something will actually fill a space of someone's time, mind, and resources. So, and with the, let me take that back to the level of withdrawal from school. After the first, second time of not passing the exam, the students are told to withdraw without no transition plan. There is really no transitional plan for the children. So at the end of the day, they are back to their homes where they are not being accepted. They are back to the streets that in quote accepts them, and they have to go with the vibes of the streets, which is usually not positive. So most of our youths are out of school and they are not meaningfully engaged. So having to bring back the issue of technical and vocational education, or in quote apprenticeship, you see more lot of parents or apprentices telling you that, oh my, them tailors, they don't have apprentice, shoemakers, they don't have apprentice, different vocational, they don't have apprentice anymore, or mechanics. You hear them saying they don't want to learn. So having to bring back the culture of technical and vocational education, even in from the global eye and relevance, also out of the country, technical and vocational skill, or those in that sector, are part of those driving the economy. So if we want to go back to driving the economy, one of the projects we are looking at, like I said, is the technical and vocational education.
That's great. There are two things that caught my attention there. You talked about AI, and I heard about drug free. Okay, let me come to Madam Maureen. So what is the role of AI in the educational sector? I don't get that. Can you just make us understand why you guys are also preparing to go AI now?
First of all, the first thing I'll say is that a teacher is, first of all, a role model. So if there's a new thing in town, I would say that the teacher should be the first person to let the students know about it, not because the children cannot know about it from other avenues, but because as a teacher, you should be at the forefront of new trends. You should be at the forefront of technology. Now, education and technology cannot be separated. They cannot be separated. You cannot go education without technology. As a matter of fact, we need to embrace technology as much as possible. Artificial intelligence is ruling the space of technology right now, and teachers need to embrace it. I would want a situation where a teacher records himself in a language that a child would understand and sends it to the child. And the child looks at it, oh, my teacher is speaking my language. All right. There are a lot of things to do with artificial intelligence. So much to do. And teachers need to begin to use those things to augment the learning experience that students get in the classrooms. So yes, you cannot separate students or teaching from artificial intelligence and other forms of technology that are emerging every day. Besides, the students today are the ones to improve on the technology. So let's say I don't use a cell phone, I don't use an Android phone. How do I improve on the Android phone when it's my turn to improve on the Android phone? I don't know if you get that. So
Yeah, sure.
if I must improve on an existing technology, then I have to use that existing technology. All right. And then secondly, I always say that teachers have to be part of whatever distraction that students are going through. So let's say your students are distracted by entertainment. As a teacher, you become an entertainer. You want to teach them the what's it called, the elements. For example, you should compose a song that is catchy for the children to learn the elements. All right, you want to your say children should not watch cartoon. You should be able to voice your teaching in those cartoon voices and send it to the parents, to the parents forum, so that your children can listen to it. Nothing beats the fact that, oh, my teacher can do this. Nothing beats it. They come into the classroom and then they're excited to see their teacher, they're excited to learn, and they're excited to practice what they learn.
Interesting. That's cool. Talk about what's your own view on this?
Okay. I would say AI is everything. It's everything. For me, it makes me really, really feel at home. It makes the teaching and learning more interesting, more engaging, more fulfilling, because from the point of design to the point of development to the point of deployment of training, AI. For example, like you said, the content creation. There are a lot of tools and apps, even for cartoons, that you just tell stories and they create cartoons for you. So it's like bringing what the student wants to the class. Lots of AI tools that will even give you analytics in telling you what is your student interested in even learning. Imagine me having to train you or teach you the way you want to learn with what you want to learn and with who you want to learn. So you can even make students characters in the class, whereby you display them as characters, or you tell them to speak what their mind is, and they create stories out of it. There are other apps that when you want to create a song, in split seconds, you can sing or give the concept of the song, and it will create a song, even for videos. And the global reach, learning is beyond the four walls of the classroom, like, Student Without Borders. It's about AI, having to say that beyond the classroom, we can have students. Even having to say, as a teacher, there are lots of learning platforms, should I say learning management platforms, whereby you can be an instructor. So I can be in Nigeria and have a global reach, whereby I have 5,000 participants or students from all over the world. So really, linking it to mother tongue and all that, having to reach people from diverse economy. And the way AI is that it's very dynamic and it's very involving. Imagine if you are teaching on a platform and the receiver at the other end is listening to your class in their mother tongue. Wouldn't you just give that?
In a different language.
You are teaching in English and I'm listening to read in Dutch, or I'm listening to read in Japan. That is the power of AI. AI is more of taking the complex and making it very simple, even to the point of creating tables, creating content for lesson plan. AI is just a whole. The more you even search, the less you are going to see, because every day, online, or even for online creation tools, every day things are being dynamic. I can decide to create this video and I don't want my background. I can change the background to video. It means that even the user experience, which is the learner, is even more fantastic. So with AI and I'll say an AI responsive teachers, because it's one thing to have the tools, is another thing for teachers to leverage on the tools. So I'll just say kudos to teachers out there that are transforming the learning classroom. Because if education is truly to transform the mind of learners, how are you going to transform them if you are not doing it with the new? So I'll just stop at that.
Wow, this is quite interesting. In fact, I want to believe every teacher is like you guys. You guys are already tech teachers. It's quite interesting. Okay, we don't really have much time again, but I would like to ask Madam Murray, what advice will you want to give to young people that are looking up to you, that want to be like you?
Wow, I think be yourself. Do not be afraid to learn. Do not be afraid to admit that you've made a mistake. Do not be afraid to lose, the dogmas, things that you've held on to for a long time. You must be able to learn, to relearn, to unlearn. It's almost like a cliche, but then you need to, it's just the simple truth, because some of the things we learned when we were younger are no longer true. So imagine if we held on to those things. AI wasn't there when we were younger. So imagine that today we're going by ASDF colon LKG, and not learning the new things. We probably will be out of jobs. You understand? So you need to continually reinvent yourself. If there's something new on board, take time off, go and learn it. Do not be ashamed. Do not be ashamed to admit that you don't know this, and then go to learn it. That's for me has really helped me. Do not be afraid to collaborate with people. The thing about collaboration, synergy, is that the sum of the whole. All right, the sum of the whole is always more than the sum of the individual parts. All right. There are places I would not be in today if I had not said hello to that person. If I had not said, hey, what are you doing? I'm interested. I need to know. Do not be afraid to collaborate with people. If anything, collaboration brings you, it takes you further. It gives you better scope, and it takes you to horizons and platforms that you singularly will not get there at the time that you get there. All right. So always collaborate. And then number three, I always say this, there's always an anchor. For me, my anchor is God. I say it anywhere. I don't mix words about it. I pray to God and I ask Him to lead me. Even before we started, I said, Holy Spirit, help me to say the things that you want me to say. It may sound like a cliche, but the truth is that every single individual that you know has an anchor, somebody somewhere, some power that they look up to. So you should have your anchor. For me, that anchor is God. I look up to Him and I ask Him for direction to do the things that I do. I do not copy other people. All right. We may sound alike, but I ensure that I do not copy you. I make sure I don't copy you, because my inspiration is not really that person. My inspiration comes from my anchor. Thank you so much.
Wow, interesting. That's great. God factor is very important in everything that we do. God factor is very important. Well, Tokme, let me just let you know, you are the one that opened my eyes to AI in the last conference you held at Women's Development, where that you invited me as one of the facilitators. So that was when I began to dig deep into AI. And I will tell you what that has helped me it has really, really helped me. So I would like you to give your own advice to our audience. So what advice do you want to give to them?
Okay, I would say invest. And when I say invest, I don't necessarily mean money. Invest in relationship. Invest in network, invest in content that is going to help you to be better than yesterday. The world is rotating and evolving, so why do you want to stay in one place? There are things I didn't know years ago that I've gotten to know now. And I want situations like you said, if you meet me today, the next time you meet me, I should be a better person. I should be someone that is full of content. In all I do, I want to be able to influence people, and you cannot influence when you don't carry knowledge. So you have to invest in your time. Even today, I'm enrolling for a course, and sometimes it's just a 4 3 hours course that will make me a better person. So investment is very, very key. There are some things that you might not be able to buy with money, but with relationship and should I say network, you'll be able to get it. But all in all, get better in whatever sphere of life that you're in.
Thank you so much. I really wish this conversation can continue, but you know, the time, we have a very little time, and I really want to appreciate you guys for coming. Once again, let me remind our viewers that today's topic is the role of mother language in building a nation. And I want to say thank you to our Facebook audience and our YouTube audience. Thank you so much. See you next time. Ciao.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.